Also coming up, 2 children die from cholera outbreak in the Effutu municipality of the Central region, with 29 confirmed so far.
Later in the bulletin, we'll take you on our special feature series where we take an in-depth look at the state of abattoirs across the country, with the Window Slaughterhouse in the Western region featured tonight.
And on the international front, 3 more Israeli hostages released by Hamas in Gaza in exchange for 183 Palestinian prisoners.
We are live around the world on 3news.com. That's our website. Be part of the show. Let's hear what you make of the many stories we have for you tonight.
Now to the details. Minister of Foreign Affairs Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa has urged Ghanaians living abroad to get closer to their embassies for assistance. Speaking on the key points, the foreign minister revealed that 156 Ghanaians face imminent deportation from the United States.
Minister of Foreign Affairs Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa said that it is only when the embassies know where Ghanaians are located that they can offer assistance if needed. On the crackdown by Donald Trump against illegal immigrants in the United States, the minister disclosed that 156 Ghanaians are facing imminent deportation from the U.S.
From the files at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the briefing that we have received, the formal communication from Washington to our missions, both in Washington and New York, confirm that immediately those who have been targeted for deportation are around 156. There have been very high figures flying all over the place, with some even claiming that probably Ghanaians top the list. I've seen a figure of 6,200 and all of that. That's a figure that was put out a number of years ago. The foreign missions in the USA have been tasked specifically to assist with travel certificates to be deported. We are looking at about 156.
Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa stated that Ghanaians will see new paradigms in terms of consular assistance. The Minister for Foreign Affairs also hinted at a major review of Ghana's diplomatic passport system to curb abuse and enhance the country's international reputation. He expressed concern over how diplomatic passports are currently issued.
When security is enhanced and those who qualify are those who have the passports, it helps all of us. The way we are treated, right from embassy applications to when you are traveling, when you arrive at the airports and all of that, it improves, and it will be for our collective well-being. So what we will do is to make sure that we streamline. There's been just an abuse, people who really have no business. We'll certainly have to take a second look at that list, and review it and streamline with a view to making sure that our diplomatic passports are not just, available, because there are so many diplomatic courtesies extended to holders of diplomatic passports. But when your diplomatic passport, because other countries don't do that, where it's just, so easily available.
Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa assured Ghanaians that a review would be conducted to ensure that only those who truly qualify receive diplomatic passports. On the issue of unclaimed passports, the minister said the ministry will introduce a courier system to address the blockage.
Will you believe if I tell you that there are over 75,000 passports that have not been collected?
75,000?
Yes, at the passport office. Why should people have to go back? So you travel the stress to go take your biometrics again when you already have your biometrics in the system with government. Then you have to go back for your passport. We want a system where you can apply and have your passport delivered to you, the address that you provide, either your home or your office, so that you don't have to be doing all of this back and forth. It has to stop.
He also spoke about plans to make it easier for Ghanaians to acquire their passports.
Under the 24-hour economic concept, I want us for the first time to have the passport office operate 24 hours. And that will be the first step towards even the general, 24-hour operation of our missions. Yeah, so they're processing, because somebody has to be at the other end,
right,
you know, receiving your applications and then doing the printouts of the booklets and making sure that courier service is delivering that to you. You know, so all of those operations should be done 24 hours, and it will expedite, you know, the delivery time so that you can apply for a passport and get it within a week. If it's an emergency situation, probably medical grounds, or some student who has to meet a deadline, you know, has a scholarship and has to meet a deadline, it should be possible even within 3 days, you know, to receive your passport.
On to some other stories now. The 7th of February, which was just yesterday, marked exactly 1 month since John Dramani Mahama and Professor J. Nano Pokuagyemang were sworn into office. Already, 42 ministers of state have been approved and sworn in. 14 deputy ministers who were nominated this week are yet to be vetted, with 4 deputy ministers still to be appointed. The administration has, in the 1 month period since taking office, also appointed a number of persons into acting roles as heads of some government institutions and agencies and departments, pending the constitution of boards or election of council of state members. The Operation Recover All Loot Funds, that is ORAL, is set to present its report on Monday, the 10th of February, to President John Dramani Mahama. And out of this, many Ghanaians have been sharing their thoughts on what they make of the 1 month period of the John Dramani Mahama-led government, where some applaud them. A few critics are also saying still a bit more needs to be done from the office of the president, or at least the new government. So let's pick the thoughts of a political analyst who's joined us via Zoom for a quick chat on this. Dr. Samuel Efriye is a political analyst. Doc, thank you so much for your time and good evening.
Yeah, thank you, and good evening to you and your viewers.
A cursory conversation with many Ghanaians, gives the impression, I mean, in fact, this has actually been backed by research where Global Info Analytics, for instance, says that close to about 70% of Ghanaians believe that in the last few weeks, or let's say 1 month, the country is headed in the right direction under President John Dramani Mahama. What are your thoughts as an analyst about how they have been able to work this first month of John Mahama's administration?
Yes, thank you. And I believe that everyone or every Ghanaian is in an expectant mood based on the president's promises to Ghanaians. And if we can situate this to the 120 days social contract the president had with that is Ghanaians, of which some of them has been fulfilled. When you look at the 120 days social contract, which is about 26 points or areas that the president has promised Ghanaians to work on or to ensure that this area is looked at. And based on that, you can actually see that the first month of 30 days, or let's say 1 month, the president is working on some of them, and I believe that is working towards the other days, that is the 60 days or the 90 days that is ahead of us. And when you look at the performance of the president, you can deduce that I've been saying that one of the experienced presidents that we have had in the the Fourth Republic, because he's one of the presidents that he has gone through all the stages. At the same time, has been a president, has been in opposition and coming back. So we expect more. We expect that he avoid a lot of mistakes, which tends to look at his appointment, his area of promises that he has given to us. And the next, that is for the 1 month. I will say that for security reasons, I think the country is stable. And we can say that the president has done well in that area. We can also look at the energy, where the energy sector that we thought that we might be experiencing power cuts, which is ahead of, even though there are 1 or 2 things in there, but the picture that was given to us was not in the right perspective. So we were expecting that the energy sector, we might be experiencing serious, should I say, doom so. But I think it's a little bit stable, and I think the president is doing well in that area.
Right.
And he set some committees, the economic forum. We talk about the educational stakeholders that he wants to look at in terms of education. And these are things, because when you look at his promises, I believe that that would be one of the yardstick or the measurement of his performance in the 1 month so far. And I think the president is on course.
Right, and within that 1 month, like you indicated, he set up a committee to review the Constitution Review Committee. He's also put a team together to look at the education sector, and then also want to look at the specifics of how our country is governed. And with all of this, within a period of 1 month, people are also saying, for instance, that the 1 month period with which he's been able to swear in all sector ministers, we are yet to hear the deputies going through vetting. What sense do you get from the office of the president or from the new government that how would you describe it? Was that what you expected as someone who was closely watching the political space?
Yes, me personally, I believe, as I said earlier, because of his experience, because of his background, we're expecting that things will move faster than expected, because he has been a president before. He knows everything, and he has been in opposition, and the campaign, the policies, everything. So I know that he's a president that have a lot of experience. So the expectation is that he has to be more faster. That is my view based on his background and experience. I believe that he could have done faster than now, but it's not bad. But I believe that looking at where he's coming from, he could have done better in terms of being fast in his appointment and other areas. Because when you look at the economic issues, I think that will be done through the budget. And I believe that is where the e-levy and other things that you talk about might come. So when it comes to the economy is something that maybe when the budget is presented, that's where we can look at the policies that directed or what he promised to Ghanaians on the economy. But there are some slight inflationary rate. We talk about the dollar and other things, but I think it's okay. It's okay. And I believe as we expect more stability ahead of his government, we can see more progress.
Now, sorry for cutting in, but my last question would be on the fact that, yesterday when he was swearing in his last batch of ministers, he warned, or in fact, banned them from flying first class. Beyond that, he has also reduced Hajj fares and has taken some critical decisions which all fall within that 120-day plan or social contract that the NDC or the government says they have with Ghanaians. Some of his critics say these are populist moves by the government. There are others who say it's a bold and ostentatious decision and it's likely to, succeed. Where do you stand on this? Is this just trying to play to the gallery with some of these decisions he's taken?
Well, when you talk about the government appointees using business class, you see, they made this statement, but as time evolves, you can realize that these things will not be working. But I hope that it will still work, because most of the presidents, when it comes, they will just make these statements. We don't want our appointees to travel on business. But you see that the thing will die out, and later you can see them going on business class. But I think that now the president is coming out to the code of conduct for appointees, and I believe that these things might be workable. Because as it evolved, you can realize that it might not move as it is. When I talk about Hajj is something, but that is a government is for all of us, and I believe that if things comes down, it will help all of us. So if it has been reduced, well, that is good. We hope that all other things that he has promised Ghanaians will come into reality in terms of price stability, in terms of avoiding these inflationary rates in our economy, and also taxes that were bedeviled with this business community. Right. I believe that as time goes on, we hope that these things will work. It's for all of us, and I think we should not be so pessimistic sometimes. But
right.
let's give the president some time, and I believe that he can work on certain things for all of us.
Thank you so much for your time this evening. Dr. Samuel Effutu is a political science analyst joining us this evening on Zoom.
Now, the special representative of the UN General Secretary and the head of the United Nations Support Mission in Libya, Hanna Tetteh, says Ghanaians will no longer tolerate being taken for granted by the political class. Now, according to her, the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections served as a crucial lesson for both the National Democratic Congress and the New Patriotic Party.
Perhaps we could maximize the foreign policy and governance credentials that we have,
right,
in order to be able to, if you like, establish our own soft power within this continent and beyond.
Right.
So I think there's the opportunity to do that, and I hope that in President Mahama's current administration,
right,
that will be something that takes center stage.
Speaking in an interview with Johnny Hughes on 3FM's Sunrise Morning Show on Friday, February 7, the former Minister for Foreign Affairs also stated that she has no plans to run for president.
Your name has come up a couple of times. Hanna Tetteh for president. No. Hanna Tetteh for vice president. We have a first female vice president.
Yes, and I think that she's doing a wonderful job.
I agree with you.
And I believe she will do a wonderful job.
I agree with you.
I think that, because our politics is so focused on the executive authority that vests in the president,
right,
we don't give the same level of scrutiny to what actually takes place in government. And if we did, we would have a better country.
Okay.
So we shouldn't make it about individuals and the political roles that they assume. We should make it about, I think the focus should be, what system of governance do we have? How do we make sure that it operates as efficiently as possible?
Right.
So that at the end of the day, we are delivering for the Ghanaian people, because any job in government, to the extent that it was important to create a senior level role, whether it's a cabinet minister, whether it's a chief executive, all of these are important aspects of the governance fabric of our country. And if we can improve the way in which we manage government, many of our economic challenges would be a thing of the past.
Hanna Tetteh encouraged more women to take up leadership roles in Ghanaian politics.
It's important that many more women who want to engage in public service and who have the ambition to do so should feel free to do so. And I'm encouraged that over the years, the caliber of women who have been elected to our parliament and who have taken on other more visible public service roles has been steadily improving over time. And I think that's definitely something positive. My late father said to me, he said, "You are as equal as you think you are." It starts in your mind.
Right.
If you feel you can do this, you will do it. If you feel you can't do it, you will never be able to do it. So prepare yourself mentally for whatever it is you want to achieve.
The former Member of Parliament for Effutu noted that Ghanaians will no longer...
When you say things and they don't have a positive impact on, a broad section of the population, there are ways to hold you accountable. And I think it's important for political actors to recognize that, again, leadership, governance comes with responsibility and accountability.
On January 24, 2025, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres appointed Hanna Tetteh as a special representative for Libya and head of the United Nations Support Mission in Libya.
Now, the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, has called on the Minister of Education, Haruna Idrisu, to ensure that the 20% deprived area allowance, as announced by the President, is captured and implemented next month. The General Secretary of NAT, Thomas Musa Tanko, spoke to our Labour correspondent, Daniel Opoku in Accra.
The 20% deprived area allowance has been part of the teachers' document for the past 15 years. Several meetings and negotiations between government and the pre-tertiary teacher unions failed to yield results for its implementation. On Thursday, February 6, President Mahama in the Central Region assured the teachers that the 20% will be implemented.
We also plan to provide a 20% allowance on top of basic salary for teachers and health workers who accept postings to rural areas. We want to encourage more of our education and health personnel to accept to serve in rural communities and therefore bridge the developmental gap.
The Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, has lauded President Mahama for his commitment to ensuring its implementation. The General Secretary of NAT, Thomas Tanko Musa, appealed to the Minister of Education to ensure that it is captured in next month's budget.
So to the extent that the President has made a promise and has gone ahead to direct that the 20% to be paid, it is a good call, and is to ensure that our brothers and sisters in those communities get the basic necessities of life to enable their sons and daughters to break the poverty cycle in those areas. And so we are hoping that once His Excellency has spoken, the next month budget that will be read, we want to see it inside.
Thomas Tanko Musa also urged the President to swiftly address the issue of upgrading deputy directors of education to directors on the single spine salary structure.
The movement on the single spine by the teachers, those who are on deputy director to director 2, as we are hoping that those also will be done. When we pray that His Excellency will also add those ones as soon as possible. We pray that this particular thing, nobody will stand the way of the President of saying that let us go and get this one done as been in the past. This one, next month, we want to see it.
The allowance is part of measures to ensure teachers accept postings to deprived rural areas.
Now, the recent surge in fuel prices has triggered widespread concern among drivers, with some struggling to cope with the rising costs. Now, from commercial transport operators to private car owners, the impact is being felt on multiple levels. Effutu found this report.
From highways to city streets, frustration is mounting as fuel prices continue their relentless climb. Drivers across the country are feeling the pinch, as well as commuters. They are being forced to rethink how they commute and do business. Instead of absorbing the rising cost, many are turning to creative solutions to stay afloat. Taxi and commercial drivers, however, have fewer options, as they haven't gotten the go-ahead to increase fares from the Ghana Private Road Transport Union. Chairman of Branch 3 of Ghana Private Road Transport Union, Ibrahim Abdallah, said the situation is becoming unsustainable as drivers are now spending significantly more on fuel, cutting deep into their earnings.
Now the increment of the fuel is affecting us because we can't increase lorry fare. Whilst bread, food, oil, everything, they will increase it. So it's affecting us a lot. So the government should do something about it. Either should we increase lorry fare or we should hold on to it.
Chief Driver Michael has confirmed that no official fare adjustments have been made, leaving drivers to bear the rising costs of fuel. With maintenance costs piling up and no relief in sight, many drivers are calling for an urgent review of transport fares or government intervention to ease their burden.
And it is a fuel.
The issue is the prices of fuel have increased and we are still taking the old fares, and it makes things difficult for us. The government hasn't increased the fares, and if we do now, it will raise a lot of issues. A lot of car parts have become expensive now, so we plead with the government for help.
Shepherd, another driver, urged the government to reduce the prices on fuel to ease their burden.
Fuel price no dey senia etino yenim se emre bi atwom no na ekoso ntenten.
The fuel prices some time ago used to increase at a fast rate, but now things have been on a low. We plead with the government to either maintain or reduce the prices for us.
A critical lifeline for global health care, the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, has suspended its support, sending shock waves to healthcare systems worldwide. In Ghana, the impact is already being felt, with Ghana Health Service issuing a formal notice to regional directors in the northern regions warning of disruptions to the supply chain and availability of essential health commodities. Here is a TV3 News explainer.
The continent may no longer receive funding from the USAID in the coming days. But is this new development a blessing or a curse? Well, let's delve deeper. The United States Agency for International Development, USAID, has its roots in the post-World War II era. Now, in 1948, the U.S. government established the Economic Cooperation Administration, ECA, to administer the Marshall Plan, a program aimed at rebuilding war-torn Europe. In 1961, President John F. Kennedy signed the Foreign Assistance Act, which created the USAID. Now, the agency's primary goal was to promote economic growth, stability, and self-reliance in developing countries. USAID expanded its operations during the 1960s and 70s to address global challenges such as poverty, hunger, and disease, and later shifted its focus towards promoting democracy, human rights, and economic reform in developing countries. In recent years, USAID has continued to evolve in response to emerging global challenges, including climate change, pandemics, and conflict. And so, how exactly will the USAID funding freeze affect Ghana? Well, although Ghana is more economically stable compared to other African nations, this decision could significantly slow down development progress, hurt vulnerable populations, and increase economic hardships. With the country receiving approximately $150 million annually, the halt of USAID operations in Ghana is expected to have far-reaching consequences affecting various sectors including health, education, food security, economic growth, and governance. The USAID has been instrumental in supporting Ghana's healthcare system, particularly in malaria prevention, maternal health, family planning, and disease control, with allocations of over $700 million. The aid freeze may lead to disruptions in areas resulting in higher infection rates, deaths, and unintended pregnancies. In fact, the Ghana Health Service has already notified directors of the 3 regions in the north of the direct impact the suspension will have on the supply chain and health commodity availability in these areas.
When it comes to antiretroviral medication, the Global Fund basically pays for all the antiretroviral medications. But then we are still concerned because the U.S. government is a major contributor to the Global Fund. So if the current situation continues, then it stands to reason that in the not too distant future, we are going to be hit heavily when it comes to antiretroviral medication.
USAID-funded programs such as Feed the Future Initiative and Food for Peace program may come to a halt, leading to higher food prices, reduced farmer productivity, and increased malnutrition, especially in rural communities and among school children. Many education projects, including school infrastructure, development, teacher training programs, and scholarships for underprivileged children, may stall due to funding cuts of over $30 million. Now, the aid freeze may also result in reduced job opportunities and layoffs in the NGOs and private sectors, as many Ghanaian organizations rely heavily on USAID grants to sustain operations, not forgetting the likelihood of increased security risks, particularly in tackling cross-border crime and extremism threats, and worsened living conditions for refugees and vulnerable groups in Ghana. Despite these threats, however, there are those who believe this decision is in the right direction.
Africans should also learn from this, because it's not every day that we will take our bowl and go out and expect that somebody will put something in for us. So yes, this is a lesson for Africans. We have to learn, and we have to know how we can take care of ourselves.
So what is the way forward?
We need to take cognizance of the fact that a lot of the donor inflows may not be coming. And so we need to actually commit more resources to help. And then more specifically on HIV and AIDS, the first Mahama administration actually amended the Ghana AIDS Commission Act. And in that amendment, they introduced what they call the National HIV and AIDS Fund, So now that the president is back again, we are hoping that he will continue from where he started in 2016.
The full impact on this decision remains to be seen. Judith Brown, TV3 News.
Now, away from that, behind the scenes of Ghana's meat industry is a story of resilience and neglect all across the country. Much is put in to ensure that you have your meat on the table. But how safe is a customer? In this report, Irama Smith visits the Window Slaughterhouse, which serves Takrady and its environs.
In Window in the Effutu municipality of the Western region lies a tale of two worlds at the bustling Window Slaughterhouse. On one hand, dedicated butchers diligently prepare meats for the market, adhering to a cross between traditional practices passed down through generations and the modern. On the other hand, the facility itself telling the story of neglect and disrepair, raising alarming concerns about food safety and worker welfare. We witnessed animals being slaughtered on the bare ground and carcasses being singed on questionable platforms. The environment is far from ideal. Fortunately, water is not a challenge, but it is a stark contrast to the modern meat processing facility that was envisioned when the slaughterhouse was commissioned in 2016. Equipped with a gas station, it was designed to replace the dangerous practice of using car tires for meat processing. Unfortunately, years of neglect have left the facility in disrepair. The butchers are now forced to rely on less efficient gas cylinders, which are further compromised by the open-air operating conditions, significantly reducing productivity.
We are using gas, and the place is open. So it's supposed to be covered so that the gas cannot be consumed so much like that. But the place is very open. So anytime we buy gas, we don't use it like the way we're supposed to use it because of the open place. So we have a big challenge there.
Last told us that they will build something that the wind is blowing the gas. It doesn't get the pressure that we need. So we asked that they should build some walls here so that it will prevent the wind from blowing. But currently they said they'll do it, they don't do it.
Attached to the slaughterhouse is the Effutu Municipal Veterinary Officer, Alan Abeku Ampa.
What we do here is we look at the general health of the animal. We have to be sure the animal, when killed, will be wholesome for human consumption. So that is not to say after that inspection, the animal will be passed. When the animal is slaughtered, we make sure the animal is slaughtered well. Make sure if there are any diseases, we capture it. It doesn't end there. We ensure that the meat passes through all conditions that will make it wholesome. For example, you can't put the meat in just any van and send it. You have to make sure you get a good vehicle to transport it from here to the market. Even at the market, you go there to also ensure that the meat is carried well and then given to the final consumer in the right state.
We also speak to Joseph Ayambel, ECMA's Environmental Health Officer, who demonstrates the meat stamping process. The stamp serves as a guarantee that the meat meets required standards and is certified safe for consumption.
We want the public to understand that the meat that they buy from us at the meat shop at the market are authentic, is wholesome. You understand? And we stamp it and see that everyone, when anyone sees it, see that it's being inspected in a slaughterhouse. That's why the assembly has given us a stamp. So any meat that is past wholesome is being stamped. You understand? So that's why we stamp it.
But the abattoir's environment needs shaping up.
We are not okay with the situation here. But still, we are making all efforts to make here clean. You understand? You know, now the job, this place is being handed over to the butchers, and we are helping them to clean here. You understand? So we are fighting to make here clean.
The deputy butcher, Abdallah Inji, is frustrated with the facilities maintenance or lack thereof.
We need government help because the place have already spoiled. And then the former government came in. They don't help us. You see the point. So now we are pleading to a new government what they would try to help the place so that the place will be neat.
As we conclude our visit, we are left with a sense of unease. The Window Slaughterhouse is a microcosm of Ghana's broader meat industry, where resilience and resourcefulness are pitted against neglect and adversity. It's a story that demands attention and begs the question, what does the future hold for Ghana's meat industry? Irama Smith, TV3 News, Window.
Still watching News 360 on TV3. On to some other stories. The unequal access to and distribution of child health care services remain widespread in Ghana, with significant disparities between urban and rural areas. In response, the Pediatric Society of Ghana is urgently calling on non-governmental organizations and individuals and some philanthropists to step in and help bridge the gap in child health care services.
The pediatric care system in Ghana faces significant challenges with limited resources and infrastructure to meet the growing demands of child health care. Through collaboration and partnerships, the Pediatric Society of Ghana is seeking to promote the highest standard of health care for newborns, children and adolescents. The president of the Pediatric Society of Ghana, Dr. Hilda Boy, said that the increasing disparities in child health care services call for a strong partnership between the government and the private sector.
Some of the gaps are in financing of the health. So a child is sick, who is paying for the health? Even the National Health Insurance Scheme, there are some, even though the price is not so high, who cannot afford. Again, over there we know that there are challenges when it comes to paying for some of the services, as not all the services are covered.
The society has honored individuals who have contributed to improving child health care in Ghana. Among them is Kwame Sefakai, whose Kokoko Charities Foundation has been supporting local health facilities and teaching hospitals across Ghana with life-saving incubators. The first Ghanaian-trained female doctor to become a pediatric surgeon, Professor Ifua Hesse, was recognized for her dedication and service to the field of surgery and pediatric care.
We started off with a target of 100, we've done 62, and just as you've heard, we have also decided to set up or start a project of a mother's unit at the Ho Teaching Hospital, that's Trafalgar in Ho. The Pediatric Society of Ghana, thank you very much. It would spur us on to even work harder in order to ensure that when it comes to child mortality, maternal mortality,
the Pediatric Society of Ghana at its annual general meeting focused on the theme Universal Health Coverage, Bridging Gaps and Building Resilience in Child Health Care Delivery across Ghana. Ekia Ofiriwa Dakon, TV3 News, Accra.
To a rather sad story now, and 2 children have died due to a cholera outbreak in the Effutu municipality of the Central Region. A total of 356 suspected cases have been recorded, with 29 confirmed so far. Health authorities are closely monitoring the situation and taking steps to contain the spread of the disease.
15 patients are currently receiving treatment at the Winneba Municipal Hospital, with 10 in critical condition. According to health workers, around 100 patients who showed signs and symptoms of cholera are expected to be discharged soon. 2 children have died as a result of the outbreak. The acting medical superintendent of the Winneba Municipal Hospital, Dr. Douglas Amponsa, said the outbreak is alarming.
We have 356 cases, we have confirmed 1, and then on our radar we have confirmed 1 death. as I think we have confirmed 2. Starting from the October, we had 1 death at the October, and then currently we have 1 death. And this was from the same family. They brought few of them, then later bring more. So the one they came was very late case, and then we try whatever we can do. We couldn't save that child.
He explained that most of the cases are being reported in the fishing communities along the coast, with many of the victims being children and pregnant women. While health officers are working to curb the spread and treat the victims, Dr. Amponsa is calling for emergency measures to be taken.
Out of the 356, we have confirmed 29 out of them. So those are confirmed cases, like these are tested and positive cholera. But majority of these 300 cases are coming from similar areas. So if you have confirmed a case from this area and you came from there, you are likely to be one.
Meanwhile, the 2024 National Democratic Congress parliamentary candidate for the Effutu constituency has donated some items to the municipal hospital to aid in the treatment of patients.
All those things we have got, we know they may not be enough, because looking at the cases involved and what we have seen there, it's alarming. So they may not be enough. So please, this is just an emergency gap. Whatever it is that we will do to make sure that we bring you the things that you need, aside the things that we have provided, I will do that.
The Effutu municipality has now become a hotspot, joining Ajomako, Agona West and Ekunfi districts, which are also experiencing similar outbreaks in the central region.
Now, fishermen at Nyenyano in the Gomoa East District of the Central Region are appealing to the government to operationalize an abandoned, completed cold store facility. Correspondent Akwesiado reports that fishermen have been left with no option but to sell their catch at lower prices.
Owned by the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development, has been abandoned since its completion in 2017. The purpose of its construction was to provide a storage facility for fishermen in the Nyenyano community to address post-harvest losses. Fishermen in the area without any storage options are forced to sell their catch at lower prices.
The price na there wakwa anje bi obi bu fo mmia pii obototo ofi mmia pii wo na anje sebe wenye oboto wan there wali ko nje wo bene se na mene wenye bi anere wa ase a wontimunto no yi.
Fisher folks are appealing to the government to ensure the cold store is operational.
And I mean, sometimes so many, and then so many baby. Because of your cost on humanity, or son of
Sometimes people do not get some of the fish or get them in low quantities due to the absence of a cold store. Those who buy the fish in larger quantities are not able to fry them properly, leading to complaints. We are pleading with the leaders to help us with a cold store. Our fishes get rotten due to the absence of a cold store. We are pleading with the leaders for one.
Isaac Kwansa, assemblyman for the Upper Nyenyano electoral area, believes that the fishing business in Nyenyano will become more profitable once the cold store is in use.
Since
the president is in power now, we plead with him to take a look at Nyenyano and provide us with a cold store to benefit the community so that when fishes are caught, there can be a place to store them.
Following his nomination, the Central Regional Minister-designate, Eduamwa Ochre Eko Penyin, recently told TV3 News that he would prioritize the Nyenyano cold store along with other related facilities such as the Anomabo Fisheries College.
And we will make sure all that we can do to support this project. Already the people of Central Region have embraced this project, and all that we are waiting for is to make sure that it comes to life, and that all that we need to do to let it happen, we are ready to do.
For TV3 News, I am Akwesi Ado. Gomwanyanyano.
Still watching News 360 on TV3. Stay with us. When we return, Bill Ishan will join us with the latest in the world of sports.
You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior. You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
Whenever you fly to space or take your first step as baby, Soft Care always stays with you. New Soft Care Space Series is rooted from space technology. Keeps you dry and comfortable for 12 hours long. Offers you the most effective protection during your space journey. Soft Care. Protect your leap.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Bill Ishan. Now, Ghana forward Antoine Semenyo found the net yet again and was named man of the match in AFC Bournemouth's 2-0 win over Everton at Goodison Park in the fourth round of the FA Cup. Semenyo scored Bournemouth's first goal from the penalty spot with a unique run-up, rifling the ball past Jordan Pickford in the 23rd minute. The Black Stars player played out the entire duration of the game and completed 17 of 27 passes when registering only 2 shots on target. It was his second goal in the competition this season, adding to his 7-goal haul from the Premier League this campaign. Now, still on the FA Cup, Manchester City survived an almighty scare at Leyton Orient to reach the 5th round of the competition thanks to goals from Kevin De Bruyne and recent signing Kusanov.
Look at the pressure there. That's good. And Ortega back pedaling. It's in. Here's Lewis, deflected in. Manchester City on level. Rico Lewis with the shot, took a huge...
Their club's initiatives so far.
Yes. I side with the management of the team, what they've planned to do. That they will boycott every activity until justice has been served. We have to stop this once and for all. This is not the first time we've seen such a thing. And it should start from somewhere. So if Kotoko is taking the lead, I think it's the right way for them to do.
Okay. It was a Nipa and Akoko. So what are they? Sebi, or crack ukra at 200 Nasha. And there's a overhead ball. Now the second Asha Wako will be no war. It is the right direction to Kotoko because of Munya Day or more mobile.
And I think I was deeply satisfied that the club also has made a decision that until justice is so properly served, they will not attend to any first team obligations. It may cost the club a bit, but there's no better way to show support and to call for justice than what they have done.
Now to our final story. The Ghana Revenue Authority's Royal Ladies, a women's hockey team, successfully retained their title in the Africa Cup for Club Championship held in Ismaila, Egypt. They defeated Egyptian side Smoother Hockey Club thanks to 3 first-half goals. Vivian Nakor won the Golden Ball and Boot, scoring an impressive 13 goals in the competition. The team were dominant all the way through, scoring 30 goals in 5 games. Ebenezer Frimpong, the head of the GRE Sports, was happy with the achievement.
As GRE as an organization with management and staff, everybody is excited that we have managed to keep the flag of the authority in Ghana high in faraway Egypt. It was our major desire to go out there and defend the trophy, and thanks to God, we're able to do it. As players, we will focus on our playing careers. Coaches will focus on their coaching careers. Our major goal is to try as much best to develop, various talents for the national teams.
That's it for the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Billy Shen. Up next is entertainment.
Entertainment news segment is brought to you by Napa Foods, Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil. Powered by 3 Entertainment.
Time now for the entertainment news, and the audition train for the 16th edition of Talented Kidz, which began on February 6, has arrived in Accra. On the first day of auditions, aspiring talents in acting, music and comedy gathered at TV3, eager to impress the judges and secure a spot on the final selection list. Naftali Bar has more in this report.
Accra marked the final stop for this season's Talented Kidz auditions. Hundreds of children, accompanied by their parents, traveled from all corners of the city and even neighboring towns to TV3's premises. One by one, the kids displayed their talents to the judges, showcasing everything from drama and dancing to singing, DJing, among other special talents.
I've been on a few auditions, for talented auditions, recruiting talents for shows. And this has been my most difficult audition. The number of talents I'm seeing here is quite amazing, especially when it comes to the area of singing and rap. It was just mind-blowing. And we are still struggling to pick the creme de la creme. And so I know that this season of Talented Kidz is going to be exceptional. We are yet to move into the other segments of it, but even with the music side, it's been fantastic so far.
While some left the audition room beaming with smiles, others were left disappointed after the judges asked them to return next year.
This year, I'll be very, very honest with you, especially when it comes to the singers. We had quite a lot of them with amazing voices. And, at the end of the day, we need to shortlist. And so we had to take out the best out of the best. That should tell you that it was a very difficult task for us. But, we're able to pull through with that.
Shortlisted applicants are set to gather on Tuesday for the grand audition.
Wanna do many things very crazy. Now she's telling me, say she be Jensen. She working Fendi.
So watching News 360, time now for international news.
We begin from the Middle East, where 3 more Israeli hostages have been released by Hamas in Gaza in exchange for the freeing of 183 Palestinian prisoners. Elisha Rabi, Ohad Ben Ami and Or Levi are now back in Israel. The 3 men look thin and gaunt. Israel's prison service says that all 183 Palestinian prisoners due to be released today have now been freed. The process is part of the ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas that started on 19th January. To a Western neighbor and a former Credit Suisse chief executive officer, Tidjani Thiam has given up his French citizenship as he prepares to run in Ivory Coast presidential elections slated for October. In 2023, Thiam was elected leader of PDCI, one of Ivory Coast's main opposition parties, making him a likely candidate. But last October, former Trade Minister Jean-Louis Billon said he would also seek the nomination. Thiam, 62, served as a minister in Ivory Coast under former President Henry Konan Bedie. He left Ivory Coast after Bedie's ouster in 1999 military coup and worked for consultancy firm McKinsey and insurers Aviva and Prudential before his appointment as Credit Suisse's CEO in 2015. He returned to Ivory Coast to run in the leadership race of PDCI, the party of the country's first president, Félix Houphouët-Boigny. President Alassane Ouattara, 83, has signaled he would like to run for a fourth term, a decision that is likely to face pushback from opposition parties, which he contested his right to run for a third term in 2020. To Southern Africa, where President Donald Trump has frozen aid to South Africa in an escalation of a rift between his administration and Pretoria over a controversial land expropriation law aimed at tackling inequalities stemming from apartheid. Ramaphosa has insisted the law is not a confiscation instrument but part of a constitutionally mandated legal process and argued that it will ensure public access to land in an equitable and just manner. President Ramaphosa and his African National Congress have said the legislation is necessary to alleviate huge disparities in land ownership stemming from colonial settlement and subsequent institution of racial segregation and white minority rule. In an executive order signed, President Trump said the law showed a shocking disregard for citizens' rights and would allow the government to seize land from ethnic minority Africans without compensation. Trump's order also said his administration would promote the resettlement of Afrikaners, escaping government-sponsored race-based discrimination. And finally to Asia, where Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Bharatiya Janata Party BJP has returned to power in the country's capital Delhi after 27 years. The BJP defeated Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal and his Aam Aadmi Party AAP in a major setback for the anti-BJP opposition. In a 70-seat assembly in Delhi, the BJP won 48 seats. The AAP tally went from the 63 seats it won in the 2020 election to 22 seats.
Well, that's how we wrap up the bulletin right here on News 360. We are live from our studios here at Adesa Wikanda in Accra. My name is Judith Brown. I've been doing this with
Martin Esiedu Date. You have a good evening.
La 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 la.